So delighted to welcome Anthony back to the business school. So Anthony, you did an MBA here, graduating in 2017, I think.
I did, yep. So I arrived fresh-faced in September 2015, and then I was
And
here.
why did you decide to do an MBA?
So I had an interesting journey coming to the business school. I originally started off my career in the military, and I'd been incredibly focused on achieving that. And all of my previous academic work had been taking me off in that direction.
What degree did you do?
So I did French and linguistics as my
Okay.
first one, and then I did politics and international
C'est
studies. C'est bon.
Okay.
As my masters, and then I went off and I joined the British Army, and I found myself in a position later on in my career where those kind of academic underpinnings were no longer relevant. I'd moved into marketing, and I found myself up against peers who'd had a background in business or marketing, and as I was thinking ahead to where did I want to go, my academic background just wasn't really supporting me, and I wanted to progress in my career. I wanted to go head to head with some really sharp cookies, and I was looking around. My dad had done an MBA when he was younger, and he said, this was the thing that really propelled my career growth. So I thought, well, let's go ahead. And I'd been looking around for courses, and the Manchester one had always, it had jumped out at me. Because it's a little bit more vocational in a way, the opportunity to work on those live client projects. I loved it before I did it. I enjoyed it while I was on it, and then looking back on it, it was an absolutely fantastic experience.
So you did three?
I did three. So I did a specialist clinic within the local NHS Foundation Trust, looking to provide specialist services for antenatal care, which was incredibly rewarding actually, and that was fascinating because got to justify the value of the service they were providing, so that they could then go on and expand it to new expectant mothers around the northwest, which was really valuable. Then I worked with it was like a credit agency during my not for profit in the first instance, UK consultancy project in the second instance, and then the project that I really enjoyed was my international business project in the final term. And I worked with a Manchester-based startup who were in the air travel sector, and they had this really innovative solution which allowed customers to go onto a low-cost airlines page and then actually book a whole variety of routes that weren't necessarily served through that airline. So it sounds dead simple. It's what we're all used to. So if you go on British Airways or an equivalent like a flag carrier airline, you'll see all of the other flights from within that group. So you might go on the British Airways page and then be able to book for Air France, for example, if British Airways didn't serve that destination. But if you go to the likes of EasyJet, you'll only ever see EasyJet flights. You won't see Ryanair, you won't see Wizz, even if you could combine a EasyJet flight with a WizJet flight to get you to somewhere that you wouldn't necessarily have thought. And so I worked on a project for this company that actually had the software to allow these back-end platforms to talk to each other.
A Manchester-based company, I think, from the university.
Yep. And it was fascinating because it unlocked a whole kind of world of travel that people just had never thought of. So as an example, and this is back when there were probably more travellers to Moscow from Manchester, but with a traditional carrier, you would be looking at several hundreds of pounds worth of flight tickets to go from the UK to Russia, and that would have put an enormous amount of people off. But by looking at what this booking platform unlocked, we found that actually people could combine low-cost carriers to travel from the UK to Eastern Europe and then onward to their final destination and get to an exotic final destination like Moscow for, you know, 100, 150 pounds versus 400, 500, 600 pounds that you would expect to pay for a full service carrier.
So great fun.
Great fun, and we were able to show the market size for that offering, both to the business but then to their investors as well, which allowed them to sell that into airline alliances and get that product picked up, get it invested in, and I mean, it was a fantastic project because travel is so interesting, but it was also really valuable to just see, you know, how impactful it was for the business, because, you know, we were working with the CEO, we were working with the CFO, we were working with investors and, you know, major airline clients on a daily basis to say, you know, this is what we're bringing to market, and this is why you should invest in us.
A great example, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's lovely.
Thank you.